Then you pick up, so I cover number 3 with you. Number 4 you should be able to do on your own. Number 5, it's just basically writing it in the correct order. Why don't you focus on number 7 for me, please? If you can go to, this is 7th edition book, look at page 117 for me with this. So this is the problem. I'm going to actually connect you to the same problem as in the 6th edition book with it. But a few things before we move from one, transition from one to another. I need for you to pull up your, this is where we left off, is the number 3. So if I make sure you save it, compile it, take a screenshot of this thing. So once you compile this thing, you should have Control F5. It'll ask you to debug it. Okay. So I want you to make sure we're on the same page with this thing. You're going to build this thing, right? It's going to pop up the dialog for the console with this thing, and this is what you have. You take a screenshot of this. Control F5 print screen. I'm sorry, Control Alt print screen, and it will capture just this. And you can resize this and take out less black spaces on here, however you want to do this thing to make it a little, tighten this thing up with it. So you take a copy of this thing, come over to your document that I had you open up. This is where you would paste it. So you would actually do this, paste it in here. You do it for number 4 for me, and then you're gonna do it for the same thing for number 5, chapter 2, number 5 as well. So each one of these things is that we're gonna have an assignment. This is number 5, goes here with it, and then you do each one of them. And number 6. All right, let me just take out number this right here. You don't have that yet, basically with it. But ultimately, this is what I'm looking at is in number 7. It says write a program that prompts the user to input a decimal number and to output a number rounded up to the nearest integer with the same. And in your reading on page, I believe on page 51, type conversion, I need for you to read the static cast for me. All right, that's the part that talks about the static cast. And look at those examples for me. Examples 2-9 for me. So in the example, if you look at, I'm on page 51, example 2-9, and it gives you an expression, and it has an int, it has an expression. Anytime it's basically converting from one data type to another data type with it. The expression is what you want to convert from. 2 is in the less than or greater than sign with this thing. Is what's called the data type name. So if I did 7.9, I convert it to an int, it drops it down to a 7. If I did it 3.3, converts it over as a 3. Please go through that with it as well. But the key thing in this problem is this is what ultimately the output that you want to have. So if how do I get this to round off as 2.7? If I input 2.7, how do I get this thing round off as 2.3? Okay, so this is what ultimately we're going to talk about in here. All right. So let me capture this thing. Let me pause for a moment. So let me pick up where I left off. So this is where we left off basically with it. So to clear this, I need for you to go File, Close Solution. It closes all the solutions for me, basically with it. Okay, so we're going to start on the next project with this thing, right? So you want to start a new project with this thing. So right now, thus to this far, I'm going to show you what's inside my directory that I have, and under my sandbox that I have. So under my sandbox right now, I have a folder. Well, our directory, lab2 underscore my first initial, my full last name, uppercase, you're going to have, but I only have one project here. I'm going to create another project in this next one. That's going to be called chapter 2 underscore 7. That will go here with it. Okay? Okay, so here we go. As we move forward to this, I'm not going to, I'm going to pick up a little faster pace here. I assume that you're going to do a lot of this stuff on your own with this thing. This is going to be called chapter 2 underscore number 7. Put it in the same path, everything the same. Change that project name out. Make sure I click on application settings, empty project. This. C++, call this thing main, add, and of course you go in, you put in your source code with this thing, start with the skeleton. So this is lab 2, number 7, page 117. Again, go in and record and make sure you put your skeleton in this thing. And include using namespace std. Okay, so that's what you currently have right now, is this, right? So let's take a look at this thing. I want you to take a look at this thing with me, okay? It says inputting in a number, and then you want it to actually run off in this thing, right? That number needs to be precision-wise. We need to look at it as what data type. We use an int, or we could use a double. Okay, those are your options right now. It has to be some sort of number or float. I don't know. So we're going to do something like a double. Double is a number. Call that a variable number. And you're going to actually prompt the user, cout, enter a decimal number to be round off. Space, and then you're going to actually put a semicolon after this thing. That's where the cursor is. You need to read in this thing. So read in is what? What's the command for that? Cin. Insertion is the greater than sign. You're going to store that in what variable? The number that you just declared up there with it. And then you give it an NL just to move the cursor down to the next line. Okay? This is very important. This next line is we're going to output this thing. Is what? The integer nearest to the let's call this nearest to the whatever the input that they put in, right? So this is what the variable, you need to tell me what they actually put in, which is the number. And this is stored in equal. Okay, so this is kind of like here's what they input in, and this is what's equal as the rounded off number with this thing. Now, I want to use that command, says static underscore cast. The data type here is an int. This is very important. How you write your expression. That goes right here. When you think about this thing. So when you put in your expression, and this is silly. I mean, it's not a practical way. We don't do this out in industry with it to round off numbers with this thing. But you think about it. How do you go from what is 2.5 rounded off? It's 3, right? How'd you get to 3? You added 0.5 to it, correct? So anytime when you add a number to get to round off, and then you drop off the decimal part, that's how you get the whole number off of this thing. So if I took this number, this variable that I have, all right, number, and I added with what? 0.5 to this thing, and then I convert it over to an int, that's just going to drop off the tail part of this thing. So if I put in a number of 2.7, add 0.5 to it, 3.2, drop off the decimal 0.2, it becomes 3. Okay? So that's how you actually want to do this one. Alright, cool? Alright. Again, I'm going to save this thing. Control S, saves it. Control F5 to build it. Now, when it comes off to yours, put in your number. That's fine. I don't care. You know, I want to put 3.6 in mine. I'm going to enter. It's going to take 3.6, add 5 to it, and behind the static cast, it will drop off that. Actually, it's 4.1. Drop off the 0.1 becomes, because I want to convert it to an int, it's 4. I want you to take the screenshot of this thing. Take the screenshot of this thing. Control Alt Print Screen. Okay. That will take the screenshot of this thing, or you want to tighten it up. I don't tighten it up with it. this. Control Alt Print Screen with this thing. And what I like for you to take this thing, come on over here to your Word document that you just created, and just Control V, paste it in there. Okay, so this right here shows me that you compile. Once you turn this thing in, remember now, every one of these program exercises need to have the project and the screenshot file. This screenshot file is called screenshot underscore your first initial, your full last name. This is going to be stored where? This is all inside of your directory right here. Okay, so I have, if you look at this directory right now, this is under lab2 underscore D, your first name, your full last name. It has 8 programs here, one screenshots. And this is what you're looking at, is this file right here. Okay, so this is what you're looking at. Okay, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to